So for Chapter 9, it's only 4 lessons. It's all about doing algebra within geometry. So today's lesson, we're going to be talking about perimeter and area, specifically in the coordinate plane. The coordinate plane is that x and y axis, which is why I had you glue those into your book, okay? We do need to go over some formulas. If you have a highlighter, I suggest you use it. So just as a reminder, and it's in your book as well, and it's highlighted in your book. Oh no, it's bolded in your book already for you. But the perimeter of a polygon is the sum of the lengths of the sides. So that's a vocabulary word. Another way to say that is the distance around. So the perimeter is the distance around the edge, or the sum of the sides. In a circle, that's called what? Circumference. So in a circle, that's called circumference, to go around. If we are talking about area, area is the number of square units inside the shape. So it means like if I were to take 1 unit squares and stack them all inside the shape, how many unit squares fit into the shape? That's area. Okay? The area inside. Here are formulas you must have memorized. So you need to make sure that you have these memorized because they will not be given to you on an exam. On the Smarter Balance test, you have to know what they are. So that's why I suggest you highlight them. For a square, let's do a rectangle first, actually. So go down. For a rectangle, if our base is B and our height is H, to find the perimeter, we would do B plus H plus B plus H. Another way of writing that is 2B plus 2H. Or you can also multiply B plus H times 2. Okay? Yes. For a rectangle, the area, you guys should know, is B times H, right? Okay, so I suggest you highlight that. So, remember, it means that if I were to take B number of squares across, H number of squares high, that gives me my area, so we multiply them. A square is a special kind of rectangle. Excuse me. If my square has a side length of S, to find the perimeter, I would do S plus, which is how many S's? 4. So it gives you the perimeter of a square just because it's a special case. And then the area would be S times S, which is S squared. Okay? So really, as long as you know the rectangle, the square is the exact same. It's just a special case of a rectangle. Okay? But we do want to talk about it because later in the unit we're going to do different shapes like rhombus and trapezoid. But there are special cases of those as well. Okay? So let's talk about a triangle. You guys should have done a lot of triangles last year, right? Kind of. Okay. If my triangle has side lengths A, B, and C, how would I find the perimeter? A plus B plus C. It's written there for you. And then you guys should know the formula for area. Have it memorized. What is it? A equals 1/2 BH. And that's true for any triangle. Just as a reminder, with triangles, the height is the part that forms a right angle with the base. So the height has to have a right angle with the base. Okay? So sometimes you'll get a triangle that maybe doesn't give you the height, but you can find it because we also have a rule for right triangles, which is Pythagorean theorem, which says a squared plus equals c squared. Okay. Okay, last one, circles. A circle is slightly different. First of all, a circle has a radius and a diameter. The diameter goes through the center from end to end, right? And the radius is exactly how much of the diameter? Half. So instead of perimeter, we do the circumference for a circle. And there are two formulas. You can use either one. Circumference equals pi times diameter. Or if they don't give us the diameter, we can use the radius and you just multiply by 2. So 2 pi r or pi d, either one. We are going to ask, so in math 1, we don't estimate using 3.14, we use the pi button. Okay, so you'll want to make sure that if you're using your phone as a calculator, that it has a pi button.
So you can't cheat anymore?
Yeah, you can't cheat using 3.14. You have to use the pi button. Okay. You're going to be using calculator for pretty much the whole unit.
On our test, would it give us?
Yes, you'll get a calculator. And then last thing, area of a circle. You guys should be familiar with that too, pi r squared, right? Okay. So just as a reminder, order of operations is parentheses, which we won't have any, but then exponent. So you always want to do the r squared before you multiply by pi, correct? Yes? Okay. So those are the formulas we're going to use. Formulas from previous units will also come into play. For example, distance formula. So today what we're doing is instead of just finding perimeter and area of shapes, we're going to be finding perimeter and area of shapes in the coordinate plane. So we're going to go to the next page. And we're going to be doing it in the coordinate plane. One thing I want you guys to please note. So let's read this blue paragraph together. The units for perimeter and circumference include inches, feet, yards, miles, centimeters, and meters. When measuring area, so for example, when we're doing area, we multiply, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I am doing inches times inches, that's going to give me inches squared. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Inches squared. Or we call that square inches. Square feet would be feet squared, square yards, yards squared, square miles, miles squared, and so on and so on. If you are given units of measurement in the problem, your answer must include the correct units of measurement. So if I give you a problem that's an area problem, and it's in inches, your answer must say inches squared in order to get the full points. Okay, so your units have to match. So if I give you an area problem that doesn't have the units, you would still write units squared.
Do
Good.
you have to use the abbreviations or can you write it out?
For units, you can write units squared. That's fine. Okay. Good questions. Okay, so let's do the first one. So problem number 1. They tell us that we have a rectangle HIJK, and they give us the vertices. H is at -5, -3. So let's graph that. So right here, H. I, -5, +2. So right here. J is at 2, 2. And K is at 2, -3. And then connect those. Okay. Now I recognize that you can just count, However, I do want you to show some work. So we are going to find the side lengths of each of these. Let's do the side length of HK. So off to the side, we're just going to find the length of HK first. And HK, the y coordinates are the same, correct? But the x coordinates are not. So we're going to find the distance between the x coordinates. How do we find distance between 2 points? Subtract them. H is at -5 and K is at 2. I don't have to worry about the y coordinates because the y coordinate is -3 for both of them. Does that make sense? So they're going to zero out. So we're going to do the absolute value of -5 minus 2, which gives me the absolute value of what? -7. So the distance between H and K is 7. So if the distance between H and K is 7, what's the distance between I and J? Also 7. So let's do JK. Do I have to worry about the x coordinates of JK? No, they're the same. So to find the distance between them, I just do the y coordinates. Let's do -2 minus -3, which becomes, oh, no, the y coordinates. Oh, you're right, it is. When I subtract a negative, what happens? Positive. So this is the absolute value of 5, which is 5. So if JK is 5, what's IH? Also 5. So what I'm going to have you guys do next is actually find the perimeter and the area using the formulas. So I'm going to do perimeter in green. So perimeter equals, and I want you to make sure you show your work. Perimeter is 2b times 2h. My base is 7. My height is 5. So this is going to be 2 times 7 plus 2 times 5. And, ooh, you know what I did not have you guys do? What I would like to have you do, I know some of you have already started, that's fine, is actually write out the formula. So 2b plus 2h. If you didn't, it's okay on this one, just do it in the future. So that's going to be 2 times 7 plus 2 times 5. What's 2 times 7, guys? 14 plus 10, which gives me a perimeter of 24 units. That's your answer for perimeter. Easy? Okay. Area. Oops. My formula for area is base times height. My base is 7, my height is 5, so what's my area? 35 units squared. Okay? Easy? Okay. So what I'm going to have you all do is we're going to do all of the example problems, and then I'm going to have you go back and practice. So number 1, you're going to practice. Number 2 is a homework question. So number 2, you are going to do on a separate piece of paper as homework tonight, okay? So that's when I say page 4, 546, number 2, I mean that number 2. Okay? Got it? All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about area of a circle. It gave us some notation. You can name a circle with the symbol. This is the symbol for circle. So you know how the symbol for a triangle is a little triangle? The symbol for a circle is a circle with a dot through it, or in it to indicate the center. So for example, circle with center A is written as this symbol with A. So the center is how we name circles. And then it talks about pi. We're going to have you guys use the pi key. So that's going to be what we use. So let's do the got it together, and then you guys will do number 3 on your own in just a second. So they tell us that what is the circumference of a circle with radius 24 meters in terms of pi? So what would this look like? Let's draw it out first. So if I had a circle, my radius is 24 meters. We want to know what the circumference is. Circumference is how many, what formula would we use for circumference if we have the radius? 2 pi r. Okay, so write that formula. So C equals 2 pi. If I have just the letter next to pi, that means what operation? Multiply. So times 24. Okay. It wants your answer in terms of pi. How many of you guys have done in terms of pi before? A couple of you. Okay, what do you notice about 2 pi times 24? I have the pi symbol, and then I have 2 and 24, right? Does the order that I multiply things in make a difference in the answer? No. For example, 2 times 3 is? 3 times 2 is? So, could I multiply 2 times 24 and still get the same answer eventually? Yes. So that's what we're going to do. 2 times 24 is 48, and 48 times pi. That's our answer in terms of pi. Okay? Really, in high school math, usually this is going to be how you leave your answer. Okay? In 8th grade, typically we substitute in 3.14 for pi, or we use the pi button on our calculator and we get a numerical answer. In high school, you're mostly going to leave your answer like this. So we're going to practice this. I will remind you guys on the Smarter Balance test that we take, or the CASP test that we take next month, they will want you to plug in 3.14 for pi. Okay? So just FYI. So that's what's going to be hard for you guys when we're reviewing, is that you're going to have to remember not to go too far. Does that make sense? I'll remind you. But then they want to know what is the circumference of a circle with diameter 24 meters to the nearest tenth. So if I have 48 pi, all I have to do is use the pi symbol on my calculator or 3.14. So 48 pi gives me, well, that didn't work. 48 times pi. 150, right? Okay, so we get C equals 150.796447. But they wanted our answer to the nearest, what? Did I multiply wrong?
Diameter of 24.
Oh, diameter. Okay, thank you. So it's just 24 pi, huh? Okay, let me start over. I am sorry, guys. I'm getting ahead of myself. pi times diameter. So C equals 24 pi. So that gives me 75.398. And it wants the nearest tenth. So 75.4 units squared. Okay. Okay, it's not squared because we're not doing area. We just did circumference. So it would be 75.4 units. Okay. Other questions? Did I mess up anywhere else? Okay, next problem. Let's keep. Number 3 tells us that triangle ABC has these vertices. -6, 4. So we're going to put one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's A. B is at 6, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. And C is at -6, -1. So here's my triangle. Okay. What is the perimeter and area of ABC? Question. How would I find the length of AC? Jen. You would subtract the y of A and the y of C. So that's going to be 4 minus -1, so 4 plus 1, which is 5. To find AB, I would do the same thing. So to find, but with the x's, right? So AB is going to be -6 minus 6. Which is the absolute value of -12, which is 12. Okay, question. How the heck do I find the length of BC? Jonah? We could use Pythagorean theorem. Is there a different way? Subtract the x's, subtract the y's. What else would you have to do? Starts with a D, guys. Distance formula. You can either use Pythagorean theorem or distance formula. Either one will give you the same answer because distance formula is Pythagorean theorem, right? We talked about this. I would use Pythagorean theorem only because it's a little bit faster. So to find BC, we are going to... let me move this down just a second. BC squared, so we're going to just do BC squared, equals A squared, which is, let's do 5, plus B squared, which is 12. Five squared is 12 squared is? Okay. So that gives me 169. And then how do I find just BC? Square root it. You could have just square rooted it from the beginning. So BC equals, who got it? Who has this one memorized? 13. It is. That was so a guess. You should at least have up to 13 memorized.
It would be 13 or 14, like logically guessing, since 144 is
Yep.
that's why I guessed.
But 4 times 4 ends with a 6, and this ended with a 9. For 14.
I just have 13.
Yep. Yeah, you should at least have the 13 memorized.
I have 12. That's good enough.
That's pretty good. Okay, let's do perimeter then, guys. So perimeter equals, I would say, we can just call it A plus B plus C, lowercase. So that's going to be, here, let me give you guys a triangle convention. Typically when we're naming triangles, the side across from the vertex is called the same letter but lowercase. So across from vertex A, we would call that hypotenuse lowercase a. So this one across from C would be called lowercase c, and this one across from B would be lowercase b. Just so you know. But it kind of goes against our a squared plus b squared equals c squared for right now. Good? Okay. You sure? Yeah. Okay. So when we add these all together, we would get A was 13, so B would be 5, and C would be 12. So what do we get for our perimeter? Who got it?
20. 30.
30 units. Okay. Area is, what's the formula? 1/2 base times height. So area is going to be 1/2. What was my base? 5. What's my height? 12. So remember, the height is where the right angle is. I would probably do 5 times 12 first. So this is 1/2 times, what's 5 times 12? And what's 1/2 of 60? 30 units squared.